neglected to post the feedback summary, the feedback survey responses on all of those months, and so we went ahead and did that. One of the reasons that we hadn't done that is that the feedback was so uneven coming through that survey form on the website. We had as many as 94 people respond and as few as 3.
All right, so all of this leads back to then, is it worth doing a follow-up poll in order to guide us further in any decisions about what information we need to provide, or are there other avenues to do that?
On that poll to page 28 question, they have 40 million, 30 million.
That was just, this was a placeholder, and as a matter of fact, I don't even know that I told him the 39 change.
I just loaded them, asking the public that, and then we.
Yeah, no, that would be updated.
Yeah, that was
Reflect
just
current
a,
figures.
yeah, that was just the draft. He threw out something as an idea.
I think if it doesn't make any difference, that we don't waste the money on it at this point.
I don't see a purpose in our doing so.
Not if we're going to get the same kind of information, we're not getting new information.
The only
We
thing
can't
that,
change anything once
Yeah.
we get the information. It just will tell us how well or how, we're strictly informational, so we really can't change how we
Right, right.
react to that information.
overwhelmingly, people were most concerned about taxes.
Yeah.
Right.
That really is, I mean, if there were different things that we needed to address, perhaps,
It was a dominant, it was
85%,
84%, it was like, it was a
but.
dominant concern.
It was very.
And what
The
we're,
only other thing.
And we can't
I-
change that.
Yeah,
There's no
that-
way to do this.
There's no middle ground for that.
and in the very preliminary feedback so far, we've heard that question about the final exterior, the final design multiple times. So it's really a matter of getting that good information out to people that, yes, it's going to be approximately this, but the full design process will not be complete until after a successful referendum, that we're only through schematic design, then they get to vote. Then we go through the final process.
And I think that's really a lot of, that's the main question that's out there.
Yep.
Is it gonna be this big and what it looks like? And you can say, yes, it's going to be about this big.
It's gonna be this big
The
and
end of the
it'll
Yeah.
look kinda like.
And that's probably gonna be the location that it's going to be sitting in. So some of these
Yeah,
questions
that's
that
the
address, is this the wrong location? Well, this is the location that the referendum's gonna be based
Yeah.
on, and that's not going to change. So that's
This is built too much off of the initial
Yeah.
survey where we've already answered some of those questions.
And possibly the only thing that I think we are uncertain about, I'm not certain about, is how much of our information also includes that we have 2 referendum on the basis
Oh,
of
that,
operating expenditures.
don't worry, that will be part of the focus of the, both newsletters will have both questions. And one of the things the updated FAQ will go live tomorrow, I anticipate, that includes all the cost questions that I have prepared in advance that will just need to be finalized. But it talks about the package and the increase overall, and then breaks that down to the 2 questions. The initial, may as well just segue right into that, with our final estimates, we are at $14.91 per month as the increase to our average homeowner in Plainfield. That's the $300,000 house. And about $12 of that is the building bond, and about $3 of that is the operating rate. The operating rate is a .039 addition to our current operating rate that would bring the total operating rate to 2,442. And because that's all going out in a press release first thing in the morning. All the numbers. And it's the $39 million building bond. You guys did see the updated language that we were very happy with. I was very, very pleased to see.
Actually talked about what
that-
we were gonna do.
Yeah, that we were able to
Makes
make
sense.
that language truly reflect what the project would be. And then the limiting rate is the convoluted question that requires 3 separate statements. It has the question itself, and then there's supplemental information that can be very confusing. So,
Yes.
overall, it is a 19% increase to the operating rate. And the, as I said before, the estimated building bond payment starts out a little lower, as you can see in what John delivered to us. It starts out at about 0.15 as a starting bond rate. When this building was built, our starting bond rate was 0.16 and on change, so we're right in that same, the same approximate starting point. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, yes, and for our comparable libraries, the White Oak Library District will be placing an operating rate increase on the ballot in March. Just found out from their library director the other day. And interestingly enough, their rate with their building bonds, and if you add in what they're asking for operating wise, it's almost exactly what we're estimating to wind up at. So it's all, so we're all going to about the same place. And that I thought was very interesting, that they were finding very similar to what we have found as far as where that operating rate needs to be for the size of building.
And that operating rate would be subject to fluctuations in EAV.
Oh, I have an update on
Just like the bond amount, the individual impact.
Yes.
As equalized assessed value increases, the individual impact on homes decreases because more people are sharing in the cost.
Yes, and that's on the bond side only. The limiting rate increase is, so when the bonds are paid off in 20 years, that tax rate, that portion of the tax rate just falls off. It's gone off your tax bill, but the limiting, the operating rate increase, that's a 1-year bump, and then you're back under the tax cap, and it's adjusting according to the tax cap from that point forward.
All right. So I guess what we're.
So hearing no strong inclination toward a poll, I believe that we shall move on from that item to item Roman numeral 2, under section A, ordinance 2015-7, the property purchase and proposed financing plan. That's on page 29 if you're following along at home.
And you will see that from that ordinance, the ordinance is very brief. It's 1 page, basically, and it lists the addresses of the 4 properties. It gives an estimate of the total cost, and it does not call out any cost to one specific property. It is an estimated cost over all the properties to be purchased. And it looks roughly like Graham's estimate of the property.
That's amazing.
And that's about $1.2 million. And The financing plan is that will, the finance plan, the library trustees propose to pay for the properties from the proceeds of a bond issue subject to approval of such bond issue by voters in the library district.
But the month before the vote, according to section 4, we will consider the purchase of those properties.
Then we have to have a hearing
Right.
as part of this
Right.
process, and that's what that February
So
date
that's when that
is.
is.
So that would be like a half an hour before the regular meeting?
Exactly.
So shouldn't that be at 6 o'clock then?
Actually, I'm sorry.
Or can it be part of-
part of,
Part of the
Yes.
main,
Oh,
okay.
even
okay.
better.
yes.
Right. Right. Right, and then the backside is.
That's the
What the
public,
public notice
that's the
looks
public
like.
notice that has to be posted. It's lovely.
Right.
It says, yep, we're gonna have a meeting to talk, that we will determine that at our meeting to be held at and on. And that's our February regular board meeting.
All right. Questions about the ordinance?
So if the referendum passes, then these properties would be, we're saying that these properties would be purchased, so,
We don't have to.
okay.
We do
You
not,
don't have
this
to.
does not in any way obligate us to following through. This is simply the statutory requirement to have gone through this process prior to purchasing the property.
Hmm.
It
And-
does
and we
not
have-
obligate you to purchase the property, you just have to have done this first. Does that make sense?
So depending on the outcome of
That's all
the
I wanna make
discussions
sure
with the
of.
village.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
and we have the contracts through December of next year on these. So we
Yes.
don't have to make the actual decision and purchase until the end of next year.
Okay.
We put the
December 31st,
letter of
2016.
intent, right.
Okay.
So we're not locked in, this just gets the process moving.
Okay.
Anything else on the ordinance? All right, well then I would entertain a motion for us to adopt ordinance 2015-7 as presented.
Okay, go on.
Go ahead.
I'll say it.
Okay, I move that we adopt ordinance 2015-7, property purchase and proposed financing plan.
And I'll second that.
And second, wonderful. Julie, roll call please.
All right. Oh, very good stuff. Pat,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Crystal, and Charles.
Yes. Passed. Wonderful, thank you. Item 2, ordinance 2015-8, immediately following upon the heels of what we just discussed, which is the ordinance providing for and requiring the submission of the proposition of issuing $39 million library bonds to the voters at the general primary election to be held on the 15th day of March 2016. Again, page 31.
Yes. And there were 3 very small changes on page 32. There we go. The bond council at the 11th hour decided to take off the ings. We are no longer demolishing, constructing, and furnishing. We will demolish, construct, and furnish. We did not feel that those were substantive enough to warrant the killing of more trees.
But it was posted correctly, and that is what we will be voting on and signing. All right, so beyond those corrections, are there questions? This is in line with what we looked at the special meeting 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
where we have already discussed the language that
Yes.
was of concern about what it was allowing us to do. That's been changed. Dates were corrected as pointed out.
We have made sure that we are in Will and Kendall counties, that we have filing certificates for both counties, that the always confusing fact that we're doing the December 16th, 2015 meeting for the March 15th, 2016 election. Our 15s and 16s were all over the place, so thank God for Deb and the eagle eye, making sure all the 15s and 16s were in the right place.
You know, just a commentary, because we spent an awful lot of our time this past year working toward this project as a possibility. And I do believe that all of the pieces that we've attempted to put in have been as carefully considered as possible with as much expertise as possible. So I think that we've come to this moment, but I think we need to be prepared to say we should come to this moment. I think we're ready to come to this moment.
Done all the work to get
Who would
here.
have thought
Right.
that we would have been able to get here in that short time?
Yes.
Considered.
Well, kudos to everyone who has put in time in meetings and planning sessions and phone calls and emails to make this all happen to this point.
And that $39 million number, you did get an updated pro forma cost comparison from Graham that reflects what we talked about at the December 3rd meeting, which was to remove all of the pre-referendum costs from the bond issuance. We did not, the board did not feel that it was right to finance those, that those costs will be paid from the special reserve fund that we had put aside for this very purpose, and we do not need to reimburse those. So
Right?
that's how we got to 39 million.
That missing $4 is killing me.
Send in a giant spreadsheet.
I have the binder. Do you want the binder?
It's not killing me. It's not killing me that bad.
Oh, okay, that's good. All right, any other commentary? All right, then I would accept a motion to adopt ordinance 2015-8 as presented with amendments.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2015-8, an ordinance providing for and requiring the submission of the proposition of issuing a $39 million library bonds to voters in the general primary election to be held on the 15th day of March 2016.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vicki. Julie?
I guess we'll start with Sharon,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Vicki,
Yes.
Crystal, Carl.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is passed unanimously. Good news. Good news. So let's move on to another ordinance. Item 4.
And just think, should we have the successful referendum, there will just be more ordinances to pass.
Isn't
As John Pavanti very nicely pointed out to us on his schedule.
All right, so we move ahead now to page 48, ordinance 2015-9, an ordinance providing for and requiring the submission of the proposition of increasing the limiting rate for the district to the voters of the district at the general primary election to be held the 15th day of March 2016. And to this, there were no substantive corrections to be made. So it is as printed in the original package.
I guess my comment is I've been aware over the years, many times, in which people are approving of a building, they forget of the fact that it has to have money in order to operate, or else you can't really use the building effectively.
Right.
So I think this is as important a determination to accompany the new building if indeed the community wants us to have that new building.
Right. And as we witnessed in Fountaindale, they're going back.
White.
Sorry, White Oak.
White Oak.
White Oak. Going back to do that, having realized that
Well, and as some of you
if you
are.
build it, they will come.
Yes, as some of you are aware, some of our neighbors, Sugar Grove and New Lenox most notably, did pass building bond referenda, but were unable to pass operating rate referenda, and it has left them unable to meet the full demand for service. Both libraries have very limited hours. Their ability to keep up with the demands of their communities are limited by the fact that they were able to build much larger buildings, but did not have any increase to their operating funds. It costs more just to heat it and cool it and keep the lights on. So that's the reality of building a bigger building. It may not be, because we can be green and energy efficient and all those wonderful things, if the size of the building triples, we don't have to triple the
Right.
amount of money. And thankfully, we are able to redeploy staff and be very effective at staffing that building. So we are proposing only a 19% increase to the operating rate in order to operate and staff that larger library.
And it will be a strong part of the informational materials that these things need to go hand in hand, so that everyone answering these questions understands that.
And this is why we're, in all of our informational materials, we are talking about the total cost of the project and then breaking it down into the two questions, because we really want people to be aware that this is a total project, not an either or.
Right. Any other questions or comments? Just scroll through it real quick. Don't do that.
I move we
It's a
adopt
lovely
ordinance
ballot.
number
No, go ahead,
What was it?
please.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's-
2015-9, which provides for and requires the submission of a proposition for increasing the limited rate for the Plainfield Public Library District, Will and Kendall counties, to the voters of said district at the general primary election to be held on the 15th of March, 2016.
Second, thank you, Jason. Julie? Roll call vote.
Let's start with Vicki.
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Krista? All right.
Passed unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. All right, finished business is finished. Excellent. Let us move on to new business then, please, which there is only one item. Pages 65 and 66, we have two proposals for some PC purchases that Julie's about to explain to us.
Yes, this is the next round. As you know, each year we replace basically on a 3 to 4 year cycle, we replace all of the PCs in the building. And this one is the next round. So it is for 19 new computers. These will be primarily deployed in circulation and reference. As you know, we do have a tendency we shift them down one generation from the highest, heaviest uses down to the lower usage, and they generally end their career as a library PC doing the catalogs on the public floor, because those are on the least, that's the least demanding position for a computer. So 19 of them. One of the reasons we would like to do this now is that we would like to be able to get started on this project in the holiday period, while we have a number of people on vacation, and have that substantially completed by the end of January, all of the moves and swaps and. And the CDWG sales quote is, they're identical machines. CDWG came in at slightly less than the Paragon Micro, and so.
These have been budgeted for.
Yes, and this is,
Right.
and as you know, we do budget for this annually from our special reserve fund as part of our capital replacements.
And this will then complete for FY15.
This will be FY16.
16,
Yes,
16
this
purchases.
this is the big purchase for FY16. We budgeted $15,000, we came in at 14.
There we go. Any questions about any of the individual quotes? The only difference is the unit cost on the memory upgrade.
Are these the same computers?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yep.
same model, Dell.
And we wanted to go with the Dells that are the same as our last batch for the interoperability, so we can swap parts and hard drives and.
And we have the same warranty
Yes.
as we have.
Lisa, have we used either of these before? Do we
Yeah.
have any
Yeah.
experience?
We've used them both before.
Both of them?
Mostly
Okay.
Paragon.
Okay.
CDW's been trying to get our business, so. that's
Ah,
why
I
they came
see,
in.
all right, so that's why we have the $600 or.
Yeah, but we have used
No.
them before.
$200.
Yeah, yeah, these are both regular vendors for us.
Okay. Any other questions?
They're kind of the usual suspects. when it
Right.
comes to
Oh, yeah.
These kind of smaller government purchasing
Mhm.
for computers.
Great. Well, if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to adopt one of the two proposals.
I move we purchase the proposed computer as indicated in CDWG proposal submitted for $14,284.77.
I'll
Second
second.
that.
Second, Sharon, thank you.
Okay.
All right,
And let's see, where can we start now? Jason, you get to be first.
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Carl?
yes,
Crystal? Vicki?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
thank you. Unanimously passed. We are done with our action items. Julie, do we have any need to go to executive session? Bill, do we have any need to go to executive session?
5 minutes worth.
5 minutes, all right.
Oh,
Oh,
I
yes.
just mentioned that the February 13th trustee workshop was indicated in there. We haven't talked about that I don't know what date we would have to let Deb know, because I don't know what date that registration is due. But I am planning to attend that trustee workshop.
That is the annual Illinois
Is that an open
Library
weekend?
Yes.
Association
Right.
trustee workshop.
Wondered if any other trustees were.
I'll go with you.
When is it?
So,
Yeah.
February
February
13th
13th.
is Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
Now, it is the same day as.
It's not a Valentine's
No,
Day.
it's not. The day before. Yeah, I would like to go to that again. I found that to be very helpful last year. Not only for the networking, but for the information.
We'll have you drive it.
There we go.
It's in Oak Brook, you said?
Yes,
Yes.
the Marriott.
Yeah, well,
So, yeah, get us an email to make sure that we can register for that in order to get whatever early bird rate there is in case it's before the January meeting. Great, thanks, everyone. All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session, please.
I will adjourn the executive session.
Sharon, thank you. Second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. We will need to clear the